Hey guys, it's Trevor from EDM Solutions. Today I'm going to be doing an unboxing and review of the JD2 Model 3 tubing bender. This isn't a true unboxing, I've already had it open so that I can build a quick and dirty little stand that we're going to use to put this together on. But I haven't actually used it, I haven't assembled it. I've seen these used, I've had this one sitting in my garage for a couple of years, but now I'm finally getting around to building this. Just so you guys know, I am not being paid or anything by JD2. This is a completely independent review. They're not giving me anything to make this good or bad or anything like that. With that, let's get started. So this is the die. I've got a 1 3/4 inch die set for the roll cages we're building. So under this is our die kit. Got some information on how to install the degree pointer, which we'll get to that a little bit later. Set that aside. Got some nice machined surfaces, no rust, which is, good considering how long it's sat for. The degree pointer is just a piece of TIG welding rod, nothing too exciting there. This is the shaped U-bend for retaining the pipe in the bender. And we've got the ultra heavy die with, again, a nice machined surface. No dents, no damaged finishes. Everything seems to be there. Good. We'll put this stuff aside and we'll open up the actual tubing bender and start looking at that. Okay, so inside we've got the instruction manual right on top, which we'll be using a little bit later to put this together. We've got all sorts of pieces. Everything's nicely individually wrapped in cardboard. The pieces themselves are quite nice. They've got this powder coated finish, it looks like. The edges are a little rough, but only some of them. Most of them actually are quite good. We've got the precision pins that we're going to be using. Some large 3/4 inch bolts. I think these are used to attach the whole assembly to whatever mounting solution you've got. Now this, as you can see with all the teeth, this is sort of like a manual ratchet system for when you're manually bending the tube. We probably won't be using this because we're going to go with a hydraulic unit. But still, nice quality. Everything's nicely machined and finished. We've got a bag full of various hardware, both nuts and bolts and alignment dowels and all sorts of stuff like that. So next up, we've got the handle with the JD2 sticker on it. We've got the front half, I guess, and the rear half. And these just slide together like so. So then next up, we've got the degree wheel, which again, nice individually packaged. Very easy to read the degree scale on this. Oh, so we've got multiple pieces in here. So we've got one piece, which is probably the top, given that it's got visible numbers on it. Visible numbers for your pin sections. I believe this is the bottom, and it's got a threaded pin on it. We have two more pieces. This one is stamped with top. final piece in the box. No stampings on this one. Alright, so here we've got everything laid out that was in the box. I'll be honest, this is about my 4th or 5th take because I could not find this little pin. And I didn't want to blame JD2, and I had started filming a section where I mentioned that mine was missing, and then it fell out of one of these 3/4 inch pins. So, we need to take our toothpick. Oh, there's the pin. Just make sure that you look inside everything to make sure you've got all the pieces you need. As far as tools, it seems pretty simple. We're going to need a pair of 3/4 inch wrenches, a hammer, a 1 1/8 inch wrench, and I've got a large adjustable wrench because there's one nut here, which is I believe it's a 1 7/16. It's smaller than my 1 1/2 inch and it's bigger than my 1 3/8. So I'm going to use an adjustable wrench. Now we'll get started on the assembly. So the first thing you need to do is put your base piece on. The next step is to install the lower frame base. Now this would be a lot easier with a second person, but I'm here on my own. So I'm going to use this trusty C-clamp to hold that in place. Just make sure my holes are still lined up. So next up we need to assemble the handle and the ratchet mechanism. I'm not going to do this the full way because I have a SWAG Offroad hydraulic adapter in the mail, which I'll be doing a review video on when it arrives. Normally you'd put the second pin in to hold that in place, but because we're going to be taking this apart again in the future, we'll leave that the way it is. Now, we're supposed to take one of these and one of these, slide it through with the spacer on the bottom, slide that through like that. Now, just to hold this in place for a minute, I'm going to put one of my bolts in. And we need a pin and our top piece. Now, this is going to be a little difficult to do single-handedly. I need to remove this bolt again. I wouldn't normally recommend doing that, but the threads on these are pretty robust, so they should be okay. So next up we need to take two of our frame pins here, and they go one in the large end slot. Okay, we have the main frame assembled. That didn't take too long. The degree plate goes on here, and I've actually just read in the instructions that We don't need the big wrench. We only need to put this on hand tight so that we can adjust this while the tool is in use. Now we need to build the drive link. Now this is that one, but as before it said top. Hope you guys can see that. And these just go together quite easily. There's a bolt, a spacer, some washers, and some nuts. Now there is a bit of powder coat buildup in these holes, so it does take a little bit just to get those in, but nothing too crazy. Now, it does suggest putting our large pin in this end, and another one of our smaller pins in one of these holes, which I assume is to help keep everything nice and square. Supposed to go right in here. It's then held in position with the large drive like that. So you can see how the ratchet mechanism is supposed to work. And we'll put a die in and bend a piece of pipe before we finish here. Or we'll try to on my rolly stand. And there we go. We've got a JD2 Model 3 tubing bender. Eagle-eyed observers will notice that I have added some washers, which I missed earlier on during assembly, and there's also one under the large nut there. So now I think we should put a die in this and see if we can bend a piece of pipe. Now this may not work out because the stand I've built is on rollers, and that's not ideal given how much force you're putting on this, but we're going to see what we can do. So there we go, we've got the JD2 bender assembled. I did try to bend some tubing, but with the engine stand that I've got this on, it just moves around too much and it won't bend. Now as far as the review of this goes, first of all, this is a very expensive tool. The frame is about $600 Canadian, and the dies range in price from $250 to over $500 depending on the size you're working with. So from that aspect, this isn't necessarily the best hobbyist tool. It is probably the best tool, but it would be really hard for somebody to justify that kind of price if you're only building 1 or 2 roll cages or doing a little bit of fabrication work. Now, if you're doing this at a commercial scale where you've got, new cages every week or something, this is definitely a worthwhile investment. Now, as far as the fit and finish goes, it's really, really good. The powder coating is done very well. Everything fits together nicely. It's all machined perfectly. I have no complaints about the way this thing's put together. The assembly does not take very long. I did it in about 45 minutes, including recording everything. Working without having to record everything, you could probably put this together in under a half hour easily. Now, if you're going to use this as a manual bender, you're definitely going to want it firmly anchored to the ground so that you can try on it a bit. There's just no way with a movable stand like an engine stand that you're going to get the kind of force you need. However, if you're doing a hydraulic cylinder conversion like we're going to do next episode when we do a review and unboxing of the SWAG Offroad JD2 hydraulic cylinder adapter, then you can use a stand like this, which makes it really nice to move around. You can put it away when you're not using it, that kind of thing. So overall, I would rate this really high, and if you can justify the price, I'd strongly recommend this tool. If you're only looking to bend 1 or 2 cages, I would definitely say look for something a little cheaper. So that's it for today. If you liked the video, make sure to give me a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for future tool reviews and for all the work we're doing on the Mercedes. Have a nice day, and we'll see you next time.